Hey, hey, hey.
Hey, hey. All right, something new. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I guess recording should be started automatically. No, I have this button. I think people are getting used to use Zoom instead of Google Meet, so we need to take some time until other people join.
Hello, guys.
Hello. That's the first meeting we have in Zoom in CNCF space. So I think many people just didn't get used to use it. Let's wait for a while until they join.
It's just because the Linux Foundation login mandatory. So if you don't have it, you should
Not
register.
mandatory. You could just use like a guest. I just did it right 30 seconds ago.
So if you use this link, you can join as guests.
Yep.
Interesting.
I mean,
Because
so it's redirected to a left side where you can like entering your data as a guest, and then you are getting a proper Zoom link.
all right, see, I can see that. Interesting, the system they did. But I guess the recording will also be available in this openprofile.dev for every participant on this meet. They still didn't publish this event on CNCF calendar, but I think we will fix this soon. Let's wait for 1 more minute and we can start. I'm gonna share the screen. Hope it will be working. It is. Oh, I lost my Zoom now. So many things, new things, which I didn't used to use it. How can I send this to chat? All right, got it. So I'll put the link to this document into chat, and I think we can start. Yeah, I can't start recording, but I guess that will be recorded automatically the same way like any other CNCF meetings. You usually can download the recording later. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, see.
All right. So let's have a start. Welcome everyone on our bi-weekly Cozystack community meeting. Today is 27th March. Welcome everyone on our new space. Thanks to CNCF for providing a Zoom account for this. I'll repeat that we have Telegram group where we can help with solving some community issues. We also have Slack group in official Kubernetes Slack. Links are listed here. Please put your names in this document. I think for now it should be available for editing by anyone. And do we have any new members in this week that would like to introduce themselves or didn't introduce themselves previously? It's a good time to do that right now. Just put a few words about you.
I'm a newbie, and so I'm a senior DevOps engineer with about 7 years experience. I work for a large enterprise company like Uter Air Company, Sber Devices, etc., etc. So just join your cozy community and just come to see what's going on, what's happening, how it goes.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right, so let's switch to agenda. Today we have not as much items to talk about. We have to announce that we are still in process for migrating to CNCF space. We already get new mailing list, which you can also join. I think we will migrate our existing Google group. This is still in progress. So new meeting location. Previously we were in Google Meet. Now it will be proven in Zoom in this open profile.dev portal. It would be nice to have there an account, so you will see all the recordings later. They will be attached to your profile page. The meeting notes also get moved to the another place. So now the document will be here. And that's actually all the announcements for now. We're still in progress of moving, so there's still some changes, like the organization was changed, but I think it is not critical because the old repo will automatically redirect all the requests to the new one. Currently, we are in progress for preparing new release. I think it will be released soon. We will have new release which fix CVE for Nginx ingress, and later we will also release new features. For now, we are focusing more on stabilizing our platform. So you can expect the next release, and maybe after the next release, there will be not as many new features, but you can expect that stability will be better for those releases. And let's switch to OpenFlower. And we have few questions to the community and few questions which we can discuss. The first one, we would like to know about any success and failure stories with Cozystack. If you were trying to install Cozystack, what the most difficult cases you faced in documentation? So we would like to improve the documentation and user experience, developer experience. If you have something to put, you can do that right now. If somebody tried our getting started guide, you can also put some feedback about how it was understandable to you, how it was easy or difficult to repeat all the steps here. Maybe some wrong steps were described, or actually were you faced with some difficulties? All right, no community input. Let's talk about the next topic then. We were also thinking about focusing Cozystack for pet projects. I think it might be an interesting opportunity to run it in home lab. If you have some examples also, please share. No community input again. Okay. I already spoke about.
It's not that big of an example. As you probably know, I used to have a home lab on single board computers with Kubernetes and stuff. But they were all destroyed one of these days when I purchased some more of these computers. I'll get Cozystack running on them, and then I'll have to port it to ARM64 architecture as well.
Yeah, I think it might be really interesting. And as far as I know, there are two community members who are currently working on that. There were Nikita and Robert Hadik, who interested to adapt Cozystack for ARM architecture. If somebody from community interested to help in that, I think I can connect you with those people, so you can somehow collaborate and know that you can help to each other. I think it would be nice also to have some kind of device which we can do on conferences, like small cluster on Raspberry Pis, and we will just run Cozystack and show it on the conference. I think it might be good advertisement.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So just as a community input, I'm trying also to install this kind of stack on my own hardware as a project, weekend projects. Because I tried different solutions and I'm here just for this use case actually, and just as Yaros. Looking what's going on the community before getting really started.
That's very interesting. Can you share about more about your hardware you use? Do you use single server or multiple servers? Do you use RAM or AMD 64?
I'm on 86, and it will be dedicated for GPUs enabled servers. I want to try different locations, so separated APs and so on. And the solutions that I already tried were not very satisfying. I tried some integration with WireGuard tunnel and so on, but I'm really looking into merging different locations and different servers into the cluster, like some kind of general setup. And I'm just looking how the Cozystack, what Cozystack proposed for managing the API server and so on, just to see if that's a good solution for the future.
I think there might be a question, how far are the servers from each other? Are they part of the single network, or they are really in different locations, like physical locations?
Yeah, it's a physical location, so actually it will have some problems, I guess, but that I would figure out. And I'm just looking at the Cozystack, and I think I found it very interesting because I want to use Talos to have some kind of to have the immutable property of Talos, and for the moment I found it very frustrating, the other solutions that I tried for managing this kind of stack, and that's why I'm here and looking at what's going on.
All right, so we can share some cases we already solved. We actually have experience installing it on servers with different locations. There might be some sort of issues. First issue you can face in is etcd actually a very difficult Actually, I don't know how to put it.
The etcd is very sensitive to the
Very
latency
sensitive
between
to latency between the nodes. Yeah, correct. Thank you, Timofey. So we did some work for make it working. We have working example. You can see the documentation for multi-data center. There is configuration. How can you configure timeouts? How to align timeouts for etcd for making working better in different physical locations. Actually, for now, we are still testing this. So I think if you have good channel, that will work well. But I'm not sure that it will be working really fine if you have really low latency network with big latency between the nodes. And the second thing you might face in is storage configuration. Since we use DRBD, it's also very sensitive to the network latency. You might see some issues with disconnected devices. And here you can see LinStore configuration, which will allow you to update those timeouts to make it less dependent to the latency.
Okay, thank you very much, because that's actually the problem I face with other solutions. So I might look into that.
Good to know that you are trying to this. Please share your feedback. You can put it into our chat or in the next meeting. It's very interesting to know if your case was solved. Yeah, and one more thing I want to share, that we have support of kubeprism. Not sure how it is written. Prism. I will put the link to documentation later. There should be support of kubeprism. This is feature of Talos Linux, which allows you to make full mesh tunnels between the different physical locations. So you can, I think it should be there. Let me try it again. No way, I think we had this doc. Anyway, I will put a link into our document so you can find it quickly. Here is a
Kubeprism is basically a common pattern where every host has its own local balancer to the API servers, listening on some ports on localhost. But I guess it's a little bit more advanced than just a generic balancer, and it selects the nearest API server and that kind of stuff, and that might be helpful if you've got control plane nodes in different locations.
Yeah, I just wanted to share a little bit information about kubeprism, how it works. It actually works totally transparently for the Kubernetes. It allows two Talos nodes in different locations find each other via Talos Discovery Service. Then they establish full mesh WireGuard tunnels between each other. And then they put all the Kubernetes traffic, internal Kubernetes traffic, into these WireGuard tunnels. So it makes it also secure. Very interesting feature, and it might be useful if you have only public IPs between the physical locations. If I remember well, it also should work through the NAT. If you will try it, feel free to share your feedback. Yeah, okay. The next topic is that I already said that we are focusing on stabilization. And one of the major points of stabilization is to have proper end-to-end testing. For now, we are about to get new testing infrastructure for CNCF from CNCF. We need to think about what exactly we need to get and how we will establish this end-to-end testing. Actually, I was thinking to order a few physical nodes and install Cozystack on them, and then to prepare some static default route to testing Cozystack inside of Cozystack. So pretty similar what we do right now, but I think we need to not use our existing single pod container for running Cozystack cluster, like 3 VMs inside single pod. We can try using Cozystack virtual machines feature or running Talos Linux and run and install Cozystack inside of this. Maybe any thoughts about end-to-end testing approach? Not many people.
That would be a very welcome start. There's this principle of least astonishment, and when last time I was running the tests, I was looking for the virtual machines until I realized that actually all 3 of them are indeed in a single pod.
Yeah, I think we also should think about if we can run tests in parallel. It would be nice to have some testing suite running on bare metal, but it might be really expensive to have bare metal nodes running for every test. So I think we still can do that with virtual machines, with hosted virtualization. And it would be really nice to have it to use dogfooding, actually, to use Cozystack and run Cozystack inside of Cozystack. I think it shouldn't change many things. Actually, we just need to create virtual machines without anti-spoofing protection, so they will have opportunity to route packets with different IP addresses between each other, and that should enable the opportunity to use Cozystack inside of Cozystack. So we can run tests, do the standard tasks like prepare storage, prepare networking, and install some applications. So we can actually extend this framework with additional tasks. As about framework, for now we use shell script. Should we consider using other frameworks like Ingo or something like that, or it will make things more complicated?
I would not have that on a top priority. I mean, shell scripts are fine for the kind of tests that we run.
Yeah, I think the same. So we just need to update the testing suite. I think we can start solving this issue in the next week when we will have this infrastructure, because the testing is very important to stabilize the product itself. All right, any other thoughts of testing?
Well, I had this thought that if we would somehow abstract away the virtualization layer, and it would be just some kind of interface, like give me a virtual machine, not necessarily by KubeVirt, you could run some kind of testing in public clouds, and it's like it doesn't really match the purpose of Cozystack to run it in a public cloud. But if you want to test something, it would be very convenient when you can just ask for a virtual machine in the API of Cozystack, and then you've got some kind of middleware that asked, I don't know, AWS to spin up a virtual machine instead of relying on KubeVirt just for the test.
Actually, I'm not sure how to put this. You said about splitting or moving virtualization.
Guys, two concerns, sorry. So first concern, I would be happy to have a function that would allow to use a Cozystack like a management tool for different clouds, like it was done in Banzai Cloud, or also we are utilizing cluster API, so it means that we can like make some additional code that would allow us to spin up EKS, Giga, or other clusters in other clouds, and manage them if it's necessary for the Cozystack users. And regarding E2E testing, so we have an option to order like a proper bare metal service called Metal in Amazon if we need some testing, and they are paid and billed only by amount
Execution
of
time.
time we are using them. So it's another option, like to have a proper testing pipeline without mocking or adding some additional code that we also need to support, what is really important.
Unfortunately, with CNCF, we tied to Oracle Cloud, and that's only option they provide for bare metal provisioning. They say that there might be also Linode, but later they changed their decision and say that no, only Oracle Cloud is possible. So actually, I have no experience with Oracle Cloud yet, but I think there might be also opportunity to order physical nodes.
Yes, so it would be like just another flavor of nodes, because I know that Amazon has, Google has, Yandex has, yeah, so probably we could find some proper instances in like Oracle Cloud, or even there could be a virtual machines with a nested virtualization if we need it.
Yeah, as far as I know, Google Compute Engine offers a nested virtualization. The metal instances in Amazon are really expensive, though. That might not be the best option for us.
As about previous topics, I think both are good, and I think we have this idea. So we have bundles. We have bundle which allows you to install Cozystack on bare metal, but we also have bundle which allows you to install Cozystack in any cloud Kubernetes. And I think so. If we have this pass shared bundle which allows you to install Cozystack in cloud, everything will work except Kubernetes and virtual machines creation. But we can use cluster API to interact with the cloud itself and order Kubernetes clusters from the cloud, actually. I think it might work fine.
Well, there's a lot of implementation details. Like you can order a managed cluster from the cloud, or like right now you can spin up the control plane in the management cluster, and yeah, that would be not much different. Or maybe you can spin up the control plane on the virtual machines ordered from the cloud. There's a lot of options, I think.
The only thing, we don't use cluster API for defining virtual machines. So we just use pure KubeVirt objects to define machines. So I think if you will use cluster API for other clouds, this application should be updated. So it might take some additional cognitive overhead just for supporting this setup. I would like to do some research if this feature is really interested and required by the people running Cozystack in cloud. I think is there anybody who run Cozystack on cloud or willing to do?
So guys, by my opinion, is the main goal of Cozystack is to bootstrap your own Kubernetes cluster in your hardware, in your environment. So it's more it's not about public clouds, it's about Hyper-V, the virtualizations and so on.
Nope, Yaroslav. We like extended the Cozystack, so now we are beyond our initial concept. So if you have like a cloud, let's say you have a not major cloud, like any supplier of virtual machines, you can even install Cozystack on top of it and get some nice managed services like databases, like queues, just on like a plain VPS provider. If you will consider public clouds, also Cozystack could be installed on top of public clouds like Amazon, like Google, and in such a case, Cozystack would give you a benefit of not vendor locking on cloud managed solutions, because it would be very difficult to like migrate from Amazon RDS or Amazon secret store if you want to migrate like to Google Cloud. Cozystack allows you to use the standard open source technologies, which would be the same on every cloud. The only thing that you need to consider in such a case, that you need to have a pre-existing Kubernetes cluster. How you will deploy it, it's your own task.
Okay, I get it.
Yeah, the same
And then
problem
there's also, sorry, go ahead.
Please go ahead.
Okay.
And then no, you.
Yeah, then there's also the question of developer experience. If anyone can spin up a few EC2 instances for a couple of hours just to try something out, and if we make Cozystack more accessible for people who are just trying to get to know it, trying to have a quick look, that would be helpful for the development of the product in general.
Yeah, that's also the reason. So if we will have this testing suite, which we will run, which allows you to run Cozystack actually in any Kubernetes cluster, for example, kind, this would allow us to interact with the people who don't want to, they want to try, but they don't want to go all over these instructions for setting it up, and who don't have their own bare metal nodes. That's a problem that for now trying Cozystack might be really difficult. I think we should also solve that.
Yeah.
I'm sure that we've discussed that like some time ago, and the idea was to make a pluggable VM interface just to run VMs on whatever thing you got. And I can recall that Proxmox was one of the targets of that VMs provision.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Such idea. That's true. If you're talking about adding additional, so we can actually extend the, let's start from the beginning. For now, if you use PaaS hosted bundle, you just need to have ready Kubernetes cluster with storage and networking. So you can easily set up Cozystack there. Everything will be working here except Kubernetes clusters and virtual machines. But we can extend those applications with extra configuration. For example, if you're installing it in Proxmox, it can also spawn virtual machines in Proxmox with no nested virtualization, just through the Proxmox API. The same with the clouds. So we can add some integration modules for every cloud, and that would allow to spawn virtual machines and Kubernetes clusters through the Cozystack in the same cloud where it was installed. But there is a question, do we really need to do this? Or we just can disable those two tiles from PaaS hosted file bundle and let user create Kubernetes clusters and virtual machines directly using Terraform, or use the same tool they used for creating those things, creating the Kubernetes cluster for Cozystack itself.
If I may have an opinion, I don't. to be honest, I don't know very much the Cozystack solution, but for me, I'm interested into Cozystack because I use Proxmox a lot to deploy VMs with Terraforms and so on. But for me, if we spawn new VMs using Cozystack, it's like we break the separation between Proxmox and what's running on the VMs. I don't know if that's an issue, but that's how I will feel it like an issue, actually. I don't know if that's really the case, but
How do you mean we break this isolation?
because you give the API key of Proxmox to do that, so it will have some kind of for me, it's good to separate the concerns between what you're doing with Proxmox, and you can have a tool to do that, and there's a lot that already exists. But I won't feel very very safe giving my API key of Proxmox to what's running on it.
I
Yeah,
think
got it.
it's not a problem. It probably you are mentioning the chicken and the egg problem, but it also exists like for Kubernetes itself. If we would discuss etcd deployment and other stuff, and somehow we live with it and we don't have any issues. Yes, of course, I understand what you are talking about. That if we have an API key for Proxmox, we can break something inside of Proxmox. And particularly if we are running a control plane for running Proxmox inside of Proxmox, it means that it could somehow will be renderable and unusable. But I think it's not a very high risk, particularly that Cozystack is managing only resources it created, not like the whole bunch of virtual machines in Proxmox instance, right? So in fact, it is your choice which Proxmox you will attach to a Cozystack instance. It could be an external one, or it could be the same one that Cozystack is running on. So it does not matter, and it should not break isolation, but gives you some more degree of power, because Cozystack allows you to use only one tool for managing infrastructure. So you will have all virtual machines described in YAML. But if you will manage Proxmox like with another tool, yeah, it means that you will have like one tool for virtual machines, that you will have a Cozystack installation with its own configuration stored like in, I don't know, GitOps repo, yeah, and it would be again a mess that you need to look into several places to understand what's going on in your infra. I'd prefer to simplify this approach and put everything into Kubernetes, because it gives like the unified experience for managing infra.
Okay, that's clear. I
Yeah.
think it's a very good point.
Yeah, I can also share from experience that there was this similar, if you will, chicken and egg problem in AWS. You can spin up EKS clusters and then spin up like dedicated EKS node groups. But you get a much better user experience when you start once you start using the cluster autoscaler. But it's kind of generic and not so performant. So AWS has its own tool called Carpenter, which allows you to define node groups as, basically Kubernetes YAMLs. And sure, you have the same issue that a tool inside your EKS cluster is calling out to the AWS API and ordering resources, which are essentially external to the cluster, just EC2 instances, and then joining them to the cluster. But this is just such a vastly better user experience that it's absolutely worth making that trade-off. What we should really focus on in that case is the security of the solution, how granular the permissions given out to these API keys are, and so on.
I think we have to split our PaaS hosted bundle. First, we need to disable these two applications from them because they're still not working. but we can add additional bundles, for example, bundle for Proxmox, bundle for AWS, and slowly adding new Kubernetes and virtual machines clusters there, not clusters, applications, which will spawn Kubernetes clusters and virtual machines right in this environment where the Cozystack is running.
I believe we have something called plugins on our roadmap. And in my opinion, what would work really well is just to have pluggable, I don't know, Cozystack virtualization interface drivers. So anyone can implement one if they need something special. We could implement some of the more popular ones ourselves and just have them deployable as separate containers.
Decomposition is one of the topic. We have plans to separate it, and I think we should provide core and actually to make Cozystack to be more framework. So I think all of this configuration we have in tree, we can move them out of tree and let users to create separate configurations. So we can actually create 4 different distros and manage them. It might be challengeable to manage them in different repos. We can think if we can somehow combine them. Let's say we can have bundle with Kubernetes and virtualization, and we can have bundle with the REST stuff we maintaining here, like ClickHouse, FairyDB, Postgres, and all of these operators. And every next bundle will add additional options to the Cozystack. And there could also be bundles for having Kubernetes and virtual machines for AWS and for Proxmox. So I think it might be working like that way. So Cozystack is more about providing ready tested configurations. For now, all of them, we have just 4 configurations. We call them bundles. They're tested and developed in tree, but I think we should start thinking about how to decomposing them from the main platform. All right.
I'm sorry, Andrei, for breaking in, but may we switch to the next topic first because it is related to what we have just discussed.
Yeah, sure. Makes sense. Let's move it here. Would you like to introduce it?
Thank you. Yeah. So my idea is to have some kind of a really small base setup and then an ability to set up all system components you need for your exact purpose. Because currently, you know, there is a whole lot of operators and stuff is deployed as a base setup. And it consumes resources and it is not always needed. So here's my suggestion: to make system level soft selectable.
I think this makes really sense. Previously, we were discussing creating infrastructure bundle, yes, which will include just virtual machines and Kubernetes. It will not include all
sure.
the set of operators. Is that you're looking for?
Yep, absolutely. So my idea is that you install a really basic setup of Cozystack, and then, for example, if you need only virtual machines, you can set up only the operators you need for virtual machines.
You can,
if you, for example,
do it right now. You can do it even right now because you can disable any components of Cozystack.
Yes, you can disable
but
it
you have to specify all of them. That's a trouble.
Yeah, you need to specify it in a bundle, and then you need to support this bundle. And I suggest that it is supported internally by Cozystack. So, for example, if I need virtual machines, it has a couple of dependencies like storage, for example. And those dependencies are somehow managed by Cozystack. So if I select, for example, virtual machines bundle, it has storage and maybe some custom networking under it. And if I want to run only, for example, PostgreSQL but databases in my Cozystack cluster, I've got only PostgreSQL operator and the storage under it, and nothing else.
Look, I'm not like very happy with such approach. I could explain why, because if we are giving to the users option to disable or enable a arbitrary number of components, it creates a like infinite number of configurations. Particularly, you pointed very properly that there are some dependencies between different operators, and it could create a mess, because particularly if user would change the bundle version. So let's say you install the virtual machines and storage, yeah, then you added Kubernetes, you install several Kubernetes cluster, and then you decided that you don't need Kubernetes even more on this Cozystack installation. And all these changes always create a risk that something will go wrong. I think that there is no issue with having like a full installation of Cozystack with all operators. They did not create a lot of security issues, and if you don't want like to install Postgres cluster, you even will have a button to install it, but just don't use it. What's wrong with this approach? Or you want like to disable users of Cozystack from running these types of loads, right? It's another thing. It's about role-based access controls, and like probably we already have limits on objects in namespaces, so it would be very easy like to disable some functionality, but operators would be still running. Yes, they consume some resources, CPU, memory. Yeah, I agree, but it's not too much.
I think they consume quite a lot of resources. So if we will disable all the operators for creating databases, we will free up to 30% of all the workload getting installed from the beginning.
I think
Yeah.
that the question is discussable, but I want to understand like really good arguments why we should do it. Because as I mentioned before, the like most probable risk that users would change a bundle on the running system, and it would create an unpredictable results, and we need somehow to support this process of changing the Cozystack like bundle or edition on fly.
I absolutely agree that it introduces some kind of a dependency hell, for sure. But I think that may be solved in some kind of a software way. So, for example, you build a graph of dependencies and remove that part of a graph you don't need.
Okay,
During an
okay,
other
so
We have something like that
Nikit, please
now
explain.
already.
What are your like the most important concerns regarding why you want to do this? So
Yeah. So my idea is to simplify installation to run tests. I write it down that it would be really simple to run tests on such an installation, because you can select just one thing you want to test. For example, PostgreSQL operator, a new version of it. And you can run just it, and it is supported internally by Cozystack. You don't need some stuff to implement over it to test just one component. And the second thought is about getting introduced to Cozystack, because currently it is quite of a problem to get to taste the Cozystack, because it requires 3 virtual machines and a lot of stuff running on there and a lot of RAM getting consumed. And I think that this really minimal installation would allow users to test just what they want. So they get, for example, one virtual machine, which is able to run on an average notebook, and then they can point and select what they want to try, for example, to run a virtual machine, or to run one PostgreSQL installation or something. So that's the main idea.
I don't think that it's viable regarding testing on laptops or even on virtual machines because of nested virtualization and other stuff. So Postgres probably could work, but so.
Yeah, so for testing purpose, currently there is no simple way to run a minimal installation of Cozystack just to run test, for example, for one separate component. And it will simplify this thing.
I agree.
Maffei has hand raised.
Yeah. I think we should only support a limited set of bundles like the 4 we have now, maybe a new one soon. but whether we like it or not, we'll probably have to give users the option, not just to turn off and turn on components as they will, but ideally maybe even add their own components. So right now, we've got a set of curated apps like Postgres and virtual machines and Kubernetes. But at some point, it might be a good idea to let users develop external apps that could be added to the dashboard in some way.
I really like this idea. So we can split bundles. We can get rid of bundles and say, let's say layers. And you can have basic layer for bare metal or basic layer for shared Kubernetes cluster. And on top of this, we can connect additional repos like with databases and virtualization. Yeah, please go ahead.
Andrei, I think that it does not make too much sense, because if we are stating that all components are like just plain Helm releases, yeah, in fact they are Helm releases. So it means that we can write a generic list of Helm releases like an array, and make some dependencies between them, because Helm release in terms of laxity could have a dependency between each other.
We're already having this now.
Yeah.
I can actually share, and if somebody would be interested in creating.
Yes. So in fact, it means that if we want to make like a small bundle, another one bundle, so just a configuration for Cozystack, we should take a already pre-created bundle, copy paste, and remove what we don't like. Yes.
For now, we have this list of all the components getting installed. They have dependency specified. If you want to disable some components, you can just use the option to disable specific components. To be honest, I saw the installation where people disabling all the operators and just letting, just using the functionality to install nested Kubernetes clusters. So I think we have to have this infrastructure EAS bundle for Cozystack to not just supporting these database as services, or to separate them to two plugins. Like if you want virtualization, you plug it in, and if you need databases as a services, you also plug them in.
So it's not like a technical question. It's probably more like how to organize Helm releases into a convenient to use entities. That's all. It's not like something really technical.
I think it would be nice also to move those components in separate repositories and let users to create their own bundles, because it might be useful to them to just opt in their own components, like their own software to provide us a service. So we just need to provide good example how to do this, and we can start with creating these two separated pluggable things. So by default, you can install Cozystack, it will be empty. But you can enable opportunity to provision virtual machines and Kubernetes clusters. It will be named IaaC, infrastructure as a service. And you can also plug in PaaS, which will also provision all the set of operators needed to provision the Postgres, MySQL, Redis, Rabbit, and so on. Any other thoughts on that?
Just as we are discussing, I was thinking that we maybe can offload dependency management to some external software and not use.
We already have this. We already have this. Flux is doing that very well.
Okay.
So anyway, you could not offload in terms that you need to explicitly tell the system what is an ordering and dependency. So it anyway would be represented by, sorry, a bunch of YAML files referring to each other, like it's done here. So
And then you've just made a
yes, so it
package
would not change
repository and
the perception too much.
I think we have very smart system for now for controlling dependencies because it allows you to just disable components, and it will also remove mention of this dependency from the other components. To be honest, I don't remember how we did it, but it should work. So you can disable some components. The only thing I think we need to add is infrastructure as a service bundle, which contains only Kubernetes and virtualization. And then we can write phase 2. We will split those bundles to separate things, which will just add in and opt and allow you to add your own components. Well, very interesting discussion. Thank you for that. We have 3 minutes left. We just want to mention that we started working on extending documentation. If somebody interested, we have a list of tasks which can help us with writing documentation. If you know something and if you want to contribute, feel free to open any issue from this link and prepare pull request for our website. We will highly appreciate this.
I'd probably like to note that not only do we appreciate pull requests, but also community members probably know some difficult places where we have blind spots. So you're also very welcome to highlight any difficulties you had in issues so that we know what we should document better.
Yeah, feel free to create issues. Thank you. And that's probably it. Next week will be on KubeCon. Take and find our Cozystack and Ænix booth. We will have also shared a community event with Classics, the guys who developing Kamaji. So they will create some community gathering at our booth. So feel free to find us and see you. Thank you for attending our meeting. See you in 2 weeks.
Bye-bye.
Thank you,
Bye
guys.
bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.